Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I take those interjections, Mr Deputy Speaker, from all my colleagues.
Thank you.
Take that interjection. It was a fabulous game, and you play very well too, Member for London Borough. Mr Deputy Speaker, since introducing our Making Queensland Safer laws, more than 4,000 youths has been charged with over 19,000 offences under adult time. Queensland has saw 10 years of Labor weakening youth crime laws, prioritising rights of offenders over the rights of victims. In 2016, closing the Children's Court to victims and their families, and in 2015, making detention a last resort, which in turn removed consequences for serious offending. Under the former Labor government, victims of crime increased by 193% during their decade of decline. Stolen vehicles increased by 101%, assaults increased by 198%, break-ins increased by 44%, robberies by 101% and armed robberies by 82%. As these rates increased, Queenslanders were left scared in their own homes. What did those opposite do? They sat back and watched as the numbers grew, and worse still, they continued to weaken youth crime laws and even went so far to call it immediate beat-up. Labor's statement of reservation for this bill suggests that adult crime, adult time is not working. However, the data is very clear. There has been a 7.2% drop in victim numbers, 17% drop in serious repeat offenders, 27% drop in proven adult crime, adult time offences. The statement says the third tranche of adult crime, adult time offences are a clear admission of failure. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. We said there would be more changes as we continue to strengthen youth crime laws. The decreasing results show that we are starting to turn the tide on Labor's youth crime crisis. We are working with our local police officers and 13,000 police officers across Queensland for the first time in our history, thanks to the hard work of the Christopher LNP Government, Police Minister Dan Purdy. We work with them and investigators to provide stronger laws and better tools to bring about real change, reduce victim numbers and make Queensland safer. I've personally met recently with some of our local coppers, including in Miles and Billawheeler, to hear what's happening in those communities. And for Billawheeler, the spike that we've seen in crime is simply not good enough. And I have just had a conversation with local police representatives and certainly have conversations with my ministerial colleagues about these issues. People want to feel safe in their communities, and we've seen youth offenders in Billawheeler causing chaos for that community. And to not stray into subdue to say, I can't go into the details of some of those offences, but to the victims of crime in Billawheeler, I'm here fighting for you. And this legislation is another step in the right direction to get Queensland back to where it needs to get. We can't fix 10 years of a legacy of failures overnight. It's pleasing to see a decrease in victim numbers in Queensland. As the Director and Victim Survivor and Voice for Victims Foundation, Natalie said, from a victim perspective, success is measured by fewer people experiencing harm. What victims consistently tell us is simple. They do not want anyone else to go through what they did. And as someone I've shared in this house before, fortunately I didn't have young offenders inside my home when I was sleeping, but I did have my car stolen before I was an MP. And that's not a very nice thing. I take that interjection, you do. You feel absolutely violated when your private property is taken from you in those sorts of circumstances, and especially in this instance, how I found out about it was I getting a call from the police saying it had been seen in an evade at the time, and that's not a very nice way to realise that your own car has been stolen. Queenslanders voted for change, and the Christopher Government is getting on with the job of making Queensland safer. We continue to take a very strong stance on youth crime, and that's what's needed to deliver the safety that Queenslanders expect in their own homes. And it's something that you will not get from those opposite under the weak leadership of opposition leader Stephen Miles, who does not fundamentally support the principles of this legislation, Mr Deputy Speaker. And I take that interjection, and they don't care about victims, Mr Deputy Speaker. And their actions have proven that over many, many years. This bill extends the adult crime and adult time offences to include additional offences, 47 I understand, including, but it's not limited to, riot, indecent treatment of children under 16, conspiracy to murder, aiding suicide, choking, suffocation, strangulation, endangering the safety of a person in a vehicle with intent, administering poison with intent to harm, and assaults occasioning bodily harm. We need to break the cycle of youth offending. Too many kids from broken lives continue down that pathway, and the cycle will continue. And unfortunately, it's not always kids from broken lives, and I know of parents who despair whose kids have ended up in the cycle of youth crime because they've been drawn into it by those who are already caught up in those cycles. That's why we are backing this strong stance on youth crime with the largest investment in early intervention, crime prevention and rehabilitation in Queensland's history. $560 million to stop crime before it starts, to turn young lives around and make Queensland safer. Just last week, we delivered the 50th new Kickstarter early intervention program. There are 9 regional reset programs which are up and running, along with our youth justice schools, staying on track program for intensive rehabilitation and crime prevention schools. Because at the end of the day, it's not great to go putting youth offenders in the prison system, but there's when they're committing serious offences, they're better off for the safety for not only themselves but importantly the victims in Queensland. That is an appropriate place for them, Mr Deputy Speaker. Now on to another aspect of the bill, and there may be some in this House who might recall a YouTube classic from 2013 called The Big Les Show, where Sassy the Sasquatch had just given Les a rap, and Les bit into it, and this is some of the transcript, Mr Deputy Speaker. Quite nice, actually. What's that called? It's called the Tripper Snipper. Why is it called the Tripper Snipper? Because it trips you right out and your whole life gets snipped from reality. Plus you hear the sound of a whippersnipper in the back of your head for like 7 hours or so. Sassy, what's in it? Oh, you know, the usual: speed, weed, heroin, cocaine, mushrooms, pinoclean, petrol, battery acid, meth, herbs and spices, lettuce and tomato. Bam and the dirt is gone. Ajax spray and wipe. Chicken and cheese, all wrapped in a tortilla. Now, the point about that, Mr Deputy Speaker, is those opposite brought in laws to significantly decriminalise the quantities of minor drugs that people could possess in this state. And a lot of the drugs...
Members, just a moment. Won't have any conversation across the House, please. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. A lot of the drugs in that list, you could have about a gram of them and just be walking up the street. You could be high on them and have them, and causing all sorts of damage to others in the community, and not only yourself. And that situation, frankly, is not something we should accept. I take that interjection. It sends the wrong message. Now, I'm someone who supports personal freedoms, but too often drug users go and impact others in the community, far too often. And it destroys families and it destroys the lives of those individuals. And I cannot possibly stand for legislation that winds back those strong laws, and that's what those opposite did. And that's why it's fantastic to be able to support these laws tonight that send a clear message that no drugs are safe, Mr Deputy Speaker. And we need to ensure that those people get support, certainly, and there are a lot of programs the government still runs in conjunction with strong drug laws to provide people the health care they need in those circumstances and the rehabilitation and everything like that. But drug addiction does destroy lives, and the consequences of it adds to societal decline, Mr Deputy Speaker. And you look at what's happening in other parts of the world. I've lived in Vancouver, and it's got a soft on drug approach, and there's part of it that is very confronting as well, Mr Deputy Speaker. So I support these laws, Mr Deputy Speaker, and they're a good thing for Queensland.